Howdy folks, Anthony here with Fountain Pen Sounds. If you're new to the hobby, you may find yourself where you've gotten a fountain pen or two and need to know where to go to next to up your game on the experience of using a fountain pen. Of course, the simplest solution that you'll likely see is to just buy more pens, which is definitely an option. But in this video, we're going to take a look at some items you can pick up relatively inexpensively, which will improve your writing experience. The simplest of these, that'll probably make the biggest difference, is picking up some nicer paper. My personal favorite that you can just pick up is the Rhodia dot pads. Specifically the A5 is my most commonly used. It's a good size if you just need to write some notes, grocery list, things like that. It's a little bit smaller than your traditional standard piece of printer paper or something like that. But I find this is a little more usable as I typically don't need to write a lot of information down, and a large piece of paper just ends up being wasted. If you didn't want to pick up one of these, but just needed some loose paper that would improve the writing experience, you can pick up some of the HP Premium 32 LaserJet paper. While it won't have the same properties as the Rhodia paper, it is significantly smoother than your standard notebook paper or just regular printer paper. This here's a notebook that I made myself using the HP LaserJet paper, similar to the Rhodia dot pad in size. So there's two main things that a nicer paper will do for you. The first of which is it makes the writing experience a little smoother because the paper itself is smoother. This way you get significantly less feedback on the nib itself while you're writing. On top of this, you'll typically get significantly less paper fibers in between the tines of your nib. With cheaper papers, the fiber in the paper is a lot larger. So as you write, the ink and the scratchiness of the nib can pull up little pieces of that and get stuck in the tip of your nib. And this will cause your fountain pen to write like a felt tip pen, as it's not the tip of the nib that's writing, it's the piece of paper absorbing the ink. The next item would be to up your cleaning game with your fountain pen. What this will do is make it significantly easier and quicker to flush out your fountain pens, which can get them writing in near new condition again with minimal effort. With that, it would be the bulb syringe. What this does is you can suck up a whole bulb's worth of water and put it in the back of the section of your fountain pen where your cartridge or converter would normally go, and you can use this to flush out any dried up ink, or just if you want to change colors and remove the ink from the feed itself, you would flush out all of that in a couple goes rather than using a converter. If you've never used one of these before, I have a video showing how to get this done. It's quite quick. You can check that up here in the right corner or in the description below. The next items would be related to ink in general. Depending on the pen you picked up, it may have come with cartridges, which are filled up from the factory with ink, and you just pop them in and use them. But an easy way to increase or change your experience with fountain pens is changing the ink itself. It can be fairly inexpensive, and each ink can have its own special properties. With cartridges, your options can be limited. So with these items, you can either refill the cartridges you have if it's proprietary and you can't easily find a converter, or a converter itself. That way you can use bottled ink. And with bottled ink, you can find a number of colors and ink properties fairly inexpensively. And if you didn't want to commit to a full bottle of ink, you can buy ink samples, which will reduce the cost. Unlike a cartridge, a converter is a refillable ink container for your fountain pen. They typically have a little plunger that will either screw or push up and down. With this, you're able to insert it into your pen and draw ink from a bottle to fill it up. If you've never done this before, I have a video on this as well, which you can check out in the description below if you need a hand. And if you are stuck with a fountain pen that you can only get cartridges for, if they're proprietary, what you can do is use a blunt tip syringe and flush out any remaining ink once you've emptied a cartridge and refill it with your own. Super easy, and just pop it right back in and you're good to go. So in short, my 3 main tips to get your fountain pen experience to the next level would be to get nicer paper, a way to more easily clean out your fountain pens, that way you're not wasting as much time swapping inks, or if you're having issues with the fountain pen writing smoothly, flushing it out can usually solve that, and it doesn't hurt to do that every now and then anyway. And finally, using some method to get a way to use bottled fountain pen ink, as this will give you a wide variety of options as far as different colors, properties like permanence, sparkle, sheen. Let your fountain pen writing look significantly different without putting in too much effort.